Hey YouTube, Silence Death here with Airsoft Team OSMD, and today I thought I'd do an update video on my primary, which is my M16. It's been a long time since I've done an update video on it. Last time you saw it, probably, well, the only thing that's the same is probably the suppressor on the front up there. That's literally the only thing that's the same, probably. So, what have I done? Well, for all of you that are up to date with my videos, I ran pretty much an ICS M16 for pretty much as long as I've had this channel, and I loved it. I'll do a video on ICS eventually. I promised a viewer that I'd do a video on KWA and my thoughts. And while I'm at it, I'll probably start a series on different airsoft brands and what I think of them. But that's not what this video is about. What I did, this is an update video. So, my ICS M16, I don't want to say I got sick of it, but I decided that, well, I constantly had problems with it. I mean, the drivetrain components, the gears and everything were reliable. The piston never stripped. But I just had random air seal problems with BBs not chambering correctly, and low shots where the BB would just fail to hop and it would just drop. And it was just a nightmare. I mean, I've had plenty of ICS guns that I've worked on and they were fine. My gun just, I mean, I ran it like a workhorse, but it just never, I always had a problem. There's always at least one issue that just never went away. And because it was ICS, I wasn't able to just put any part that I wanted on without modification, and the cost was just astronomical over the years to try and get it where I wanted it, and it never really got there. I wanted pretty much a perfect gun and I never got it, so I decided to do the following. Starting in the rear, I switched to a Dboys full stock, which was like 25 bucks off e-Vike. Does pretty well. Houses even a 9.6 volt large battery, which is quite a bit of space. Modifications, if you tighten it down too much, you'll hear a cracking sound. That's the plastic actually starting to crack. So I reinforced that with epoxy, and then I added a washer, metal washer, to distribute the load force of attaching the stock. I like it. It's good. I had to use electrical tape to make it not wobble, but that's to be expected. Moving up, I have a JG pistol grip. Since this gun, if you haven't noticed, is HPA'd, it does not need the motor plate. So the macro line and QD Foster fitting fit out the bottom, which works. The lower is a combat machine, like G&G combat machine lower, polymer. I like it because it feeds every mag that I've tried so far. Some lowers are very picky with mags. This is not, which is good. And I had to, jerry-rig the magazine catch with a screw that doesn't belong there, but it works. It's easy to push. Does it look nice? No. Does it work? Yeah, you bet it does. So, the upper is a classic Army metal upper. As you can see, it doesn't mate very well with the combat machine lower, so I have to tether it down, unfortunately. But that aids in accuracy, so it doesn't wobble around. And you want everything solid if you're going for maximum accuracy, range and accuracy. So, had to do that. I do keep the dust cover open because that way I can adjust my hop up, and I'm left-handed, so I can do it while shooting. And there you see the Valken V12 engine sitting there. And I run a 1-inch riser with a BB shield that the shield part is actually broken off of, and a TruGlo red dot sight. So it works pretty well. What else? Set my tripod down. Moving on, I have an ICS tubular rail system, 12-inch. Works really well. Since the upper is metal, threads on really tightly. Very little wobble. I spaced any wobble with a PVC ring and some tape. Works really good. The rail also came with a gas block, which is that. Obviously, that screw on the bottom is to retain it. I think the screw that came with it was a little bit more low profile than that. I lost it though, so I just put in a regular screw. Nobody's gonna see it except me. And of course my foam-filled suppressor with my engraving on it, which is kind of like time tested now, and I'll never replace. I also have a laser sight on it, just because it actually lines up perfectly with my red dot sight. So if I go into a building, I can run it. I can just use the laser. So it's very functional. I probably won't be switching anything on the externals besides maybe adding a scope if I feel like I want to run a scope any particular day. Now the internals are where this thing is a little bit different, a lot different. It's running a Valken V12 engine. Move the tripod over here so I can sit down. It's running Valken V12 engine, which some people hate, and pretty much everybody that uses it loves it, myself included. So why did I switch to HPA? Well, basically it comes down to I wanted maximum performance, and the price was right. I ended up spending about $400 for my entire rig, and yes, I do. Move this out of the way. I do run a Lancer Tactical hydration carrier that holds my tank. Might as well get that out while I'm talking about it. There's my braided line, which braided line is like the best airflow, and it bends so much better. I have a Gorilla Air 62 cubic inch 3000 psi HPA tank, and I have a Redline Airsoft regulator, which I absolutely love. Right now it's turned off, and you can see I don't have much air left. I have about enough for a shooting test maybe. So I'm going to turn my air on. You just screw this down and then it's pressurized. That's your on-off valve. I run mine at about 60 psi. They say operating range is between 80 and 120, but 60 works pretty good to be suppressed for me because I run a AK length barrel that's very tight bore barrel, 6.02 millimeter, and stainless steel. So I'm going to talk about my internals for a second. I run a 4000 milliamp hour LiPo, 7.4 volt. Yes, that's a little bit overkill because you could run this off a 9 volt battery, a real tiny battery. That actually could fit in the pistol grip, but I opted for, since I have a full stock, the biggest battery I can fit in it. And in 2 full days of gameplay, totaling probably 12 hours, maybe of play, I only used 6% battery. So that tells you how long I can play. I could probably play for 2-3 months off one battery charge, which is absurd, which is what I like. So, this system, it's actually a lot like the Polar Star. It uses almost the exact same internals of a Polar Star. It's cheaper. If you want an in-depth comparison, look up Bingo's Airsoft Works' review of the 3 HPA systems, the 3 HPA giants. There's the Polar Star, the Wolverine, and the Valken. So look up that video because he goes way more in depth than I'm gonna go. But for the price, I think the Valken is the best option for M4 owners. You can't put it in an MP5, you can't put it in a G3 or a SCAR. It has to be an M4, and it works great for that, which is what it's designed for. I get about plus or minus 2 FPS deviation out of open bolt mode. I get pretty good trigger response. and accuracy is just a little bit better than my AEG was, but the noise is way quieter. People in the field don't even hear me shoot. Now before, when I ran an AEG, they didn't hear me at distance. People close up don't even recognize I'm shooting. My own teammates, when I'm behind them shooting, they don't even realize I'm shooting, except for the whiz of the BB, which is amazing. Stealth kills are now possible with this. So I'm very happy with it, and I will be running it almost exclusively now. Once I get an HPA pump, I'll be able to pump up my tank for shooting tests, and I'll start doing long-range shooting tests when the wind permits. Right now the wind around where I live is just absurd. The wind, even right now, I'm sure you can hear it because this camera mic is actually exceptional. It picks up almost everything. You'll probably hear the wind because it's windy. But I'll start doing like 500 FPS long range, like 100-yard shooting tests with .32s just because I can, and I think it'll be fun to do because this camera has 30 times optical zoom. So anyway, I digress. So back to this. I am running a 6.02 455mm barrel that's been barrel lapped. If you don't know what barrel lapping is, just Google airsoft barrel lapping. It's a pretty interesting process to do to your inner barrel to improve accuracy, and it does improve accuracy quite a bit on economy barrels. The barrel I'm running only costs about $16, which is absurdly cheap for a stainless steel barrel. It's been R-hopped, and I'm running a Prowin hop-up chamber that's been modified, and everything's been tuned. The barrel has been spaced so it doesn't wobble around, and the hop-up chamber has been locked down, and I'm using sorbethane as my nub. That all being said, the gun performs tremendously well. I've run it 2 games now. I'll be running it again this Saturday at my local field, and I'd recommend, if you have the money, buy an HPA gun, because you're going to spend a lot less money for top level performance. But if you already have a nice gun, I say don't switch, because it's kind of a tough area. It's worth it to switch over, definitely, for the price, but it's not right for everybody, and it's a very tough call should you switch. I think the best setup is to have an AEG and a Polar Star or a HPA gun. This is a Valken. I think one of each is the happy medium. You should have an AEG, because AEGs are the best backup gun you can ever have, because normally they just work. Once you have one that's built right, they just work and they don't have problems. I've had several problems already with my HPA with settings and stuff that weren't right. I still can't get it to feed full auto, but I run it semi-only, so I don't have a problem with that. So I'm going to actually run this right now so you can see. Hopefully I have enough air. I don't think I actually do have enough air. I think I'm out, but I'll give it a go anyway. Let's see. Camera is not level right now, but I guess that doesn't matter for YouTube. I'll be shooting at that tree, which is, don't actually know how far that is. I think it's about 180 feet maybe. Yeah, 180 feet. I'll be rocking Golden Ball .32s. I'm using a red dot sight, and my air is almost completely gone, so don't expect me to be shooting very long, because I'm probably going to run out of air, in which case my PSI will drop down tremendously. Yeah, I can hear it. My PSI is dying on me. I can actually put a little bit more hop on this. Just a little bit more, actually. Oh, a little bit too much. Finding the happy middle is a little bit harder. A little bit less hop. I like my rounds to drop a little bit. Wind's picking up left to right. That's about all the shooting I'm going to do. My PSI is like almost completely done. I'll just zoom out. Get my gun somewhere behind the camera so it looks like I'm actually shooting it. I have my rounds dropping a fair bit, but it's still keeping a good group. Now I'm running out of air. I'm not going to be taking long shots much anymore when I play, just because I'm limited in how many shots I have. And to shoot extreme long range, you actually really have to dump rounds. You can't take your target out with one shot like everybody thinks you can in the movies, or even in real life. It takes a lot of shots just because these guns just aren't accurate enough to hit a guy in 1 or 2 shots past that range. So if you see me on the field, this is what I'll be rocking. You probably won't hear me shoot because the thing, as you heard, is just so quiet. I love it. Absolutely love it. So I will be getting a Crytac chamber probably I don't know, this week really. I ordered another Crytac chamber just solely because the nozzle in this is aluminum and I don't want the nozzle to wear out ever. So I'm going to be running a plastic chamber for that reason. And because the Crytac chamber I think is better. So I'll do a review on that when I get it. I ordered it from Airsoft Atlanta, so it's supposed to come. I already got tracking confirmation, so I'll probably get it in time to use it this weekend. So what are your guys' thoughts on HPA? Let me know. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below, and please subscribe and share the video on Facebook if you can. And this has been Silent Death from Airsoft Team OSMD, and I'll see you guys in the next video.